How's it going, everyone? Today I'll be using this Psylocke Justice deck to take on Mojo on Heroic difficulty, as I continue trying to beat every scenario in the game on Heroic difficulty using a different hero. So today hopefully we'll get to wrap up the wave of scenarios in the Mojo Mania scenario pack. Already took on Magog with Shadowcat and took on Spiral with Phoenix. You can see those videos posted already. But I'm excited for this matchup today. This is a matchup of two heavyweights, so Psylocke being one of the very best heroes in the game, and Mojo being a very difficult scenario, especially on solo. I'll break down the Mojo scenario here after this deck breakdown. You can feel free to skip to that or skip directly to the game if that's what you're interested in. But Psylocke is one of the best heroes in the game because she starts with just two completely free resource generators in play. She effectively has 3 thwart and 3 attack, as she can flip these Psy Katana, Psy Knife upgrades to whichever side, give her either +1 thwart or +1 attack. On the attack side, she gets piercing as well, just completely ridiculous identity card. She does have a 4-card hand size in hero form, but still, she's starting with 2 free resource generators in play. So on turn 1, we have access to 8 resources already. And on turn 2, after drawing a hero hand, we've still got access to 6 resources worth of value. So that just unconditional early game value really puts her very high up the list of heroes, especially in solo because of how flexible she is as well with those upgrades flipping between extra thwart and extra attack. So what I've done in the deck here today is I've built it around gunboat diplomacy as well as float like a butterfly. So let's start with float like a butterfly. Psylocke has got tons and tons of ways to confuse enemies. Mostly the villain is who we want to be confusing, but with Flurry of Blades, Psionic Redirect, one of these training cards, which one here? Psionic Training. So float like a butterfly is able to increase the damage that we would deal to a confused enemy by 1. So something like Flurry of Blades, which has 3 instances of 2 damage, becomes 3 instances of 3 damage when the enemy is confused, and we've got Float like a Butterfly out. So this can turn Psylocke into a real damaging machine. And we'll talk about the Mojo scenario in a bit, but Mojo is someone who we really want to burn down fast. We are on a clock with Mojo that we aren't really on with most other scenarios in the game. So usually I'm not a fan of cards that are explicitly burn cards towards burning down the villain, but in this unique case, this is a great opportunity to use this strategy because we do just need a lot of damage directed towards the villain, even at risk of maybe not stabilizing against threats for the long term, because we probably won't get to the long term. So the second thing I built around is gunboat diplomacy. So I don't think I have a video yet where I'm using gunboat diplomacy. This is an incredibly powerful card. Exhaust an X-Force and X-Men character to remove X threat from schemes, deal X damage to enemies, where X is their combined thwart. So you kind of get the thwarting for free. Think about it like exhausting. If you were going to exhaust those characters to thwart anyways, you kind of get that value for free without consequential damage, but then you also add an amount of damage dealt among enemies equal to their combined thwart. So it's kind of like healing the allies plus that damage. So it's incredibly powerful. So the allies I've chosen are just all the X-Men and X-Force allies that cost 3 and have a thwart of 2. So that's Bishop, Marvel Girl, and Deadpool. Marrow is just very good and can deal a lot of damage, which, like I mentioned, is something we need in this scenario. Pete Wisdom's X-Force, and he's got 3 thwart. And then Professor X is just always good. He's another way to confuse. Dazzler is another 2 thwart, one a very good, enters playability to confuse the villain. So we've got 4 X-Men, 4 X-Force, and one of the early priorities of the deck is to get one of each into play. I'm not playing Children of the Atom. That could give you some quality of life to making sure you can enable gunboat diplomacy, but I really don't think it's that necessary, especially in this matchup where Mojo doesn't attack for that much, so I can just take a lot of his attacks directly onto the hero. If we have to block with allies a lot, then it's less controllable what combination of allies we'll have in play over the course of the game. But with this one, I can basically play my first X-Men ally, play my first X-Force ally, probably not have to block with them, and then we'll be set on gunboat diplomacy for the rest of the game. Okay, so that's kind of the short-term game plan. We'll play float like a butterfly whenever we draw it. That's critically important. Sonic Rifle, another way to do some confusing. I've got build support plus Quinn Carrier. So Psylocke, because she can just thwart for 3, any 3-threat player side scheme is really good for her. Unfortunately, superpower training isn't that good for her. She doesn't have a great upgrade to get with that. You could just get like weapons training, but that's not a very strong upgrade. Generation X, another way to find flurry of blades as we're trying to push damage. Or build support, like I mentioned. Build support, we'll go find Quinn Carrier. So we can't play Quinn Carrier from hand because we're not an Avenger, but we can still put it into play off of build support as another resource generator. X-Gene, just another good cheap resource generator. Psylocke's got lots of events. Scimitar, another good damage pushing card. Psylocke's got lots of psionic cards. Scimitar is going to help push extra damage, and these are all labeled as attacks, so they'll even get buffed by Float Like a Butterfly. So that's the idea. Play Float Like a Butterfly as soon as possible. At least for this matchup. Some matchups you might not need to. Note that Training Regimen can go find Float Like a Butterfly from the deck because it is a skill. So we've kind of got 2 shots to see that early on, which I'll definitely look to do. Otherwise, like I mentioned, a priority is just get Marvel Girl and Deadpool in play to have an X-Force and an X-Men character to turn on your gunboat diplomacies. You can exhaust Psylocke to use gunboat diplomacy, but Psylocke's activation every turn is kind of free, whereas allies cost a consequential damage. So if you exhaust allies to do gunboat diplomacy, you save that consequential damage. It's a little bit extra value, and you can still just activate with Psylocke anyways to use her thwart. Last card I didn't mention, Scare Tactic here. So this is actually an evolution. I've played a couple games already where I tried an even more gimmicky deck where I had Utopia and Children of the Atom, but I'm trying Scare Tactic now because I just wanted faster damage. So this is just another just straight up burn card, deal 3 damage to a confused enemy. It's an attack, so it'll get buffed by Float Like a Butterfly, and hopefully this will just go a little bit further towards ending the game before things get out of hand. So there we go with the deck. I would put this in the category of medium tuned to the scenario, so it's a deck that could easily stand on its own elsewhere, but it does match up about as well as you can with Mojo. So let's talk about the Mojo scenario next. So I always like to break down the scenario here before the game just to explain a bit more why I've made some of the decisions I made with the deck, also to give you an idea of how I'm approaching the game just from a game plan perspective, and maybe give some tips that you might employ if you're trying to take down Mojo on a high difficulty, or if you've just not played Mojo in a while. So, first thing to note here, we've got a main scheme with a threshold of 25, and it starts with 10. This is a very threat-heavy scenario, as we'll see here. And we continue to use modular sets from the Mojo pack. So this one uses 1 + 1 per player. So that'll be 2. And in the course of doing these videos in the Mojo Mania pack so far, I've used everything but these 2. So I'll have used each of the Mojo modular sets exactly once over the course of these 3 videos. So I kind of planned them all at once for what scenarios they were going to be in. So today we've got Crime and Sitcom. So the start of the game, we'll shuffle one of them into the encounter deck and reveal its show card. And then Wheel of Genres is an environment that gets put into play. And after the encounter deck resets, if there's no set-aside modular encounter sets remaining, we lose the game. Otherwise, flip this card. And then at the start of step 3 of the villain phase, which is when you deal encounter cards, we shuffle in the next remaining set-aside modular set. So first thing to be aware of here, 1 is already getting shuffled in at the start of the game. We've only got 1 left on the side, so we only get 2 deck passes before we need to win. Otherwise, we're going to lose when that deck resets a second time. Mojo is not exactly going to help us with this. So Mojo has, when revealed, place 2 threat on each friendly character. And then when a character flips or leaves play, move all threat from that character to this scheme. So this is kind of like a delayed addition of threat to the main scheme. But if that character, if a particular character never leaves play or never flips, then you might be able to keep that off of the main scheme. In terms of Psylocke, I'm planning to basically flip every turn, so won't really prevent that threat. But with allies, it's a bit trickier, or we have a bit more potential to just keep those allies in play, keep that threat sequestered on them. Then there's also this forced response. After your turn ends, only in hero form, discard the top 4 cards of the encounter deck, place 1 threat on your hero for each card discarded this way that does not belong to the Mojo encounter set. So it's going to add more threat, and perhaps more importantly, it's just going to discard a bunch of cards from the encounter deck, racing us even faster to that first deck reset and to losing the game. Last thing I forgot to mention here, when we reset the deck, we take the set aside modular set, we shuffle it, it goes directly on top. So then that'll be the next 5 encounter cards that we see. And then deal the first player 2 face down encounter cards. So the turn that this pops, we're going to get 2 encounter cards from that, 2 for heroic. So that's going to be a 4 encounter card turn, which is really hard to overcome. And this is my biggest learning in the practice games I've done so far, which is that yes, there's a race to win the game by the time you go through the encounter deck twice, but it's very hard to win if you even go through the encounter deck once because of the turn that results from Wheel of Genres. Now maybe a choice of different modular sets would make that a little bit easier, I'm not sure. But as it is, I'm kind of trying to win this game after 1 deck pass. At the very least, we really need to be careful heading into the turn where this is going to happen to play around that and kind of determine if that's going to be insurmountable, so we should just push for the win, or if we're set up enough to kind of control that. But then, I mean, the way Mojo's cards go, we're going to add a lot more threat just to characters, to the main scheme. So Director's Directions, well, this is a pretty modular card here. Spend 2 different resources, Mojo Schemes, or take 1 damage per each threat on your identity. So this card actually is not that bad because we just have a choice. At worst, spend 2 resources. That's not that bad. Curtain Call is a card to be aware of. It'll move all threat from the character with the most threat to the main scheme. So even if we think we've got an ally that is never going to die, that could surprise us and move all of that ally's threat to the main scheme. So that's something to be aware of. Paparazzi is a 10 threat card. We can remove threat from it by exhausting characters, but it's kind of just a lot of threat there. Top Billing, heal 1 damage from each character you control, place 2 threat on each character you control. So all things considered, it's not that bad, but that is a way that we could end up with lots of threat on our characters. Mojo's got a couple attachments, not too bad honestly. Supporting actor, a 6 health minion that's going to accumulate threat as he activates. So we could end up in a situation where we don't even want to kill that supporting actor to just trap its threat on him. But if we can just kill them as soon as possible, we'll still do that. 4 threat side scheme here, nothing too crazy. And then, like I said, we've got crime and sitcom. And the game's going to play out very differently depending on which one of these we get out first. So depending on how this game goes, say I get 1 out first, I might just, for my second attempt, just switch to the other one, even though it's technically supposed to be random. But Dial M for Mojo is kind of brutal with threat. Each encounter card gains Insight 1. Balanced by each friendly character gets +1 thwart, but this Insight 1 really adds a lot. Like, it turns, we're playing Heroic first of all, so we just have an extra encounter card every turn compared to usual. Shadow of the Past becomes like 3 extra threat. Under Fire becomes 3 extra threat. Stuff like Assault that surges in Alter Ego form, like that's just an extra threat. So this can be really scary. +1 thwart is actually really nice for gunboat diplomacy. It buffs the thwart of our characters. So we'll try to take advantage of that if we can. Then we've got 3 6 threat side schemes and a couple other cards that interact with side schemes. But yeah, 6 threat is kind of a lot. So it's a tough one, but Psylocke and this deck are very good at thwarting in general. So kind of why I picked it for this matchup. We've also got tons of margin on the main scheme. So we can't just completely ignore it. Like, it's even at 25, it is still a threat because of how much threat Mojo distributes. But for some of the other scenarios in this pack, giving each other card in Sight 1 would be even harder if the threshold is, I guess Spirals is, 15. So that's a lot easier to hit than this in some cases. Then we got Mojo in the middle. Mojo, this is based around obligations. Each obligation gains 1 acceleration. Whenever we discard an obligation, that player draws a card. Then we got 5 different obligations. I think the most critical one to play around is the odd couple. So this is going to reduce your ally limit by 2. So if we've got 3 allies in play, we'll have to discard 2 of those allies. And that can be pretty brutal. So that's one to keep in mind if we start with Mojo in the middle, or when we go through the deck past one time. I think I played 1 practice game with each one coming out first, and I think things were quite a bit easier when Mojo in the middle came out first. I don't think it was impossible when this came out first, but I think just these encounter cards are generally a bit easier to deal with. And then the benefit here, we draw cards when we discard them. As long as we discard them before the villain phase, them having acceleration is completely irrelevant. So that's what we've got for this scenario. Like I said, at least in solo, playing on a high difficulty like this, we've got to just try to win fast. It's not like we should just do damage no matter what, because we still need to, clear up threats so that we don't just lose in the immediate next villain phase. There's going to be a lot of turns where I just need to kill a supporting actor, or I need to thwart the main scheme because we are close to losing. But at a certain point, hopefully when we can see that we've got to win in 2 to 3 turns, now we might push harder on the damage edge, see how close we can get on our life total, see how close we can get on the main scheme, just so that every point of value we have is going towards damaging Mojo and trying to take him out before, ideally before this first flip of the wheel, but certainly before the second time through the deck. So that's what we've got for the scenario. It's nice that we're going to be confusing, one more thing. It's nice that we're going to be confusing Mojo quite a bit. Mojo has a very high scheme stat as well, so another reason why Psylocke is such a good matchup for him. With that, we're ready for the game. Please enjoy Psylocke versus Mojo on heroic difficulty. So to start things off, we've got to do the when revealed on main scheme 1B, choose one of our set-aside encounter sets, and shuffle it into the deck. So let's do odd for Mojo in the middle, even for dial M. Oops, went off camera, but that was a 2. Let's dial M for Mojo. So giving every encounter card insight 1, each friendly character gains +1 thwart. So that insight 1 can really add up on us. Depending on how much surge and stuff we get. But we'll try to take advantage of that +1 thwart as well. So this makes my allies a little bit more important to start the game with, just to take advantage of that +1 thwart. They're a high priority anyways, so we can set up gunboat diplomacy. Okay, opening hand. Oh, sorry, and then Mojo's when revealed, we place 2 threat on each friendly character. So that'll pretty much immediately go to the main scheme, but that's where it is. And then we've got our Psy Knives on their Psy Knife side. Well, speaking of allies, we've got Pete Wisdom, who is definitely a nice ally to start with. Then I could just keep Sonic Rifle. Pete Wisdom plus Sonic Rifle is an efficient turn. Could just try to look for something better. I'm a big fan of just making sure we have a route to an efficient turn. So let's mulligan 2. And look at that. It's going to be a great turn. So let's go to hero form. Our 2-threat moves to the main scheme. Pay 2. I'll keep them on their Psyknife side. +2 for Pete. Pay 3 for Sonic Rifle. And do I pop it right away? I'll put Overwatch on the main scheme. Reason not to is that I might draw something that confuses next turn, which then will make my turn a little bit inefficient if I can't confuse Mojo. The reason to use it up is if I want to switch both of my upgrades to katanas, which are restricted. I think I'm going to sit on it right now. Then I'm going to have Pete thwart for 4, Psylocke thwart for 4. So Pete's going to take 2 consequential damage, which will hopefully either heal off soon or not be relevant because of gunboat diplomacy. All right, I'll end the turn. We do Mojo's forced response. Discard 4 cards from the deck. For each non-Mojo card, we place 1 threat on our hero. So we got standard Mojo, standard Mojo. 2 threat on to Psylocke. Now end the turn. Okay, solid hand, solid hand. Yeah, speaking of, there's a way to confuse the value we might have wasted if we didn't do that. 1 threat on the main scheme, up to 5. Mojo attacks, I'm just going to take it. We're at full health. Mojo's attack is pretty weak. 1 plus a boost of 0. 2 encounter cards, remembering they all have Incite 1. So Curtain Call, move all threat from the character with the most threat on it to the main scheme. Okay, that's probably the best encounter card in the deck, which is lucky. So we're going to move these 2 to the main scheme, +1 from Insight. So that's 3 more on the main scheme, up to 8. And then Dragnet's got Insight. That was a treachery, so we'll heal 1 from Pete. And then Dragnet has Incite 1. The villain cannot take damage. It's not a huge rush to clear that one. So I can play Dazzler, but I've also just got a pretty good turn doing other stuff. Dazzler is going to be the most efficient overall though, and then Dazzler sets up really good gunboat diplomacies. So, I guess I can, I can either Skilled Investigator plus Dazzler, or I can build support, get X-Jet, and then Dazzler. I think build support's going to be better. Yeah, I mean, it's just a guaranteed resource every turn versus Skilled Investigator, which is a resource a lot of turns. So pay 3 for build support. Psylocke will just thwart it right away. Or sorry, not the X-Jet, Quinn Carrier. Calling that when it comes in off build support, it bypasses the play restriction of playing only when you're an Avenger. Then we'll pay 4 for Dazzler, Confuse, Mojo. Villain cannot take damage, so I'm not going to Sonic Rifle him anyways. Not going to attack with Pete, and then I'm not going to thwart because that would take him out. But we'll use Dazzler to just thwart the main scheme for 3. Should it be the main scheme? Yeah, let's do the main scheme. Flip down and end the turn. All right. Now we can get Float Like a Butterfly going. 1 threat on the main scheme. Mojo is confused. 2 encounter cards. Director's Directions, so Insight 1 first of all. Then I can't do this last one because I have no damage on my identity, and I don't want that to surge. So either spend 2 different resources or Mojo schemes. It's probably just 2 different resources. Because Mojo scheming is going to be worth like 4 or 5 threat. This is like spending 2 resources to remove 4 or 5 threat. That's pretty good. So we'll spend Quinn Carrier as a wild and this as a energy. That was a when revealed, so we'll heal from Pete. Yeah, this isn't locked to hero response or anything. And then Paparazzi with Insight 1 up to 9 and a whopping 10 threat, which will get moved to the main scheme when the turn ends. So a very efficient thing to do is just exhaust allies and alter ego to remove threat from Paparazzi, or just to discard cards from hand, because each one of those cards represents 3 resources, which is very efficient. So if I have 2 for Float, I could have 3 for Marvel Girl, which uses up my whole hand, but I've got 3 characters that can exhaust for Paparazzi. I think that's a good way to do it. I'm closing that ally slot for probably the rest of the game, so that's something to maybe think about. Two Gunboat Diplomacies in the deck. I would like to clear this Dragnet before I get a Gunboat Diplomacy. I think I'll still be able to do that though. Okay, I think I'd like just Float plus Marvel Girl. Yeah, so nothing to do in Alter Ego. Sorry, that's a lie. So we'll pay 3 for Marvel Girl. We'll do the Paparazzi action 3 times. So exhausting 3 characters to remove 9 threat from here, since we're in Alter Ego. Then we'll flip to hero form. Pay 2 for Float Like a Butterfly. And I didn't say, but right, exhausting them this way doesn't deal them consequential damage. They've got 3 thwart anyways, so they could just do like the main scheme, but might as well save the health. Psylocke will thwart for 4. Let's, I'm gonna go on the main scheme and pop Overwatch to hit for 4 on Dragnet. And now with Sonic Rifle, I will confuse Mojo. Okay, end of the turn, we're in hero form, discard the top 4. Mojo, Standard, Mojo, Expert. So 2 threat on our identity. All the threat from Paparazzi moves to the main scheme. And that's it. Hoping to see a gunboat diplomacy. Well, not yet. And setting up to be a pretty bad turn, actually. Professor X not going to do that much. So, okay, well, we'll see how this goes. So since I'd be wasting resources anyways, I might just block with Dazzler. So 1 threat on the main scheme. Honestly, the block's probably not worth just ditching Dazzlers. So, okay. 1 on the main scheme, Mojo attacks. I'm just going to take it for 1 plus a boost of 0. So that's fine. This is actually the reason why I did Overwatch there, because this would move all threat from Dragnet to the main scheme. So it felt good to use, well, I guess, I don't know. Felt good to use Overwatch there. It would have been good later, though. I don't know. All right, 2 encounter cards. Under Fire. Probably especially bad with Dial M for Mojo. So that's got Insight 1. Under Fire number 1, supporting actor with Insight 1. Under Fire number 2, Law and Order with Insight 1. Up to 10 on the main scheme. Each friendly character gets -2 attack, and then Build the Case has Insight 1. Okay. Well, I wish. So if I play Professor X, getting rid of Dazzler gives me almost nothing. I could use Marvel Girl twice this turn. I could also, okay. Well, I have all mental resources, but I could spend some resources to discard things here. So I actually think that's worth doing. Okay. And do I have what I need to take out supporting actor? I need to activate with Psylocke. Okay. I'll thwart with Psylocke. Flip 1 knife to a katana. So this will be a thwart for 3 on Law and Order. Okay, maybe I'm not killing supporting actor. I wanted to flip one katana, so I've got 2 physical. Let me think about that again. Professor X does just give me tempo, and that might be what I need. Okay, yes. So I'm going to I've got a lot of thwarting for 3 and a lot of thwarting for 4. Not much thwarting for 2. So I guess I'm going to be somewhat wasteful somewhere. So I need Psylocke, Pete, and Dazzler to end up attacking supporting actor. But I need Dazzler to go first. Oh, no, this is fine. This is fine. So Marvel Girl and Psylocke thwart and clear Law and Order. Puts 1 counter on Build the Case. After side scheme is defeated, place 1 clue counter here. Then if there's 3, we discard that. So now Dazzler will attack supporting actor for 2. Pay 1, 2, 3. Oh, Miss Marvel, or Marvel Girl takes consequential. Pay 3 for Professor X. We'll ready an X-Men character. What am I doing? No, Psylocke needed to attack. But then I wouldn't have cleared that in time. Okay, well, supporting actor activating once is hopefully not the end of the world. Okay. Yeah, I probably could have done that better. Well, I don't know. Well, whatever. I'm going to use Marvel Girl to thwart down Dragnet. So now the villain can take damage again. Put another counter on Build the Case. Pay 1 for Psionic Training. Psylocke ignores Guard and Patrol. After she thwarts, we can pop that to confuse an enemy. We'll pay 1 for Scare Tactic, dealing 3 to the villain, which becomes 4 due to Float Like a Butterfly. Pete Wisdom will attack supporting actor for 2. Professor X will thwart the main scheme for 4. And I think I'm still going to keep this Sonic Rifle. I'm going to flip down. Main scheme goes to 9. End the turn. And there's a gunboat. Yeah, plenty of stuff to do there. 1 threat on the main scheme, up to 10. Mojo's confused, and then supporting actor schemes for 1. After he activates, put 2 threat. Could have confused this guy. Would have been worth 3 threat, which is less than just confusing Mojo is worth. So, I don't know. 2 encounter cards. Assault is going to surge with Insight 1. Shadow of the Past. So we're going to put 3 on from Shadow of the Past, our Nemesis minion, and our Nemesis scheme. And then very importantly, we've got some when revealeds that give us indirect damage equal to the number of mentals on cards we control, which can hurt a lot if we're not ready. For example, right now, I've got 8, which is just actual disaster. Pete Wisdom is going to heal. Okay, interdimensional plunder comes in with 1 threat added per upgrade. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 7 threat. And let's see what we got. Oh my goodness. Exhaustion with Insight 1. And then 8 indirect damage. So Professor X can take 2, which actually isn't bad. This is an after. Okay, so we'll put 2 on Pete Wisdom, 2 on Professor X, and then I'll take the remaining 4. Ouch. Did I do this Insight 1? This guy put it to 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. No, I think I didn't do that Insight 1 yet. Okay, main scheme is at 17. Oh, sorry. I missed at least 1 turn of build the case. Should have put 1 more on. Guessing I'm missing another one as well. Well, no, I think it came out from that under fire turn, which was just last turn. No, I think it's only been out once. Okay, so 1 more threat from that. Well, as much as I would want to push damage now, I've kind of got a lot of thwarting to do. Although I've just got a phenomenal gunboat diplomacy here. So that'll be for 7. Oh, sorry, and then after we resolve that, I'll heal 1 from Pete. So we'll gunboat for 7. So I'll kill these guys. 7 threat, probably just on the main scheme. I don't think this is worth it. If I clear this, I could also finish build the case. But I don't have much other thwarting in my hand. I've got to confuse. And then I'd really love to play Flurry of Blades for 9 damage. Then I have a little bit awkward left over. Do I still have my defense upgrade in the deck? I do, so I could make an efficient turn. So would I just rather play one of these allies for the thwarting instead of Flurry of Blades? Let's see how many cards we've got in the encounter deck. 8 cards. There's the one more of that indirect damage card. So I feel like I should flip these to katanas either way. This is going to be gone, so it's only going to be 4 damage. But if another ally could take some of that, it could be nice. No telepathic suggestions left. There is one psionic redirect left that could prevent some damage. So, oh yeah, I was going to count this. 8 cards. So we end the turn, mill 4. And then a boost, so we shouldn't be flipping the wheel this turn. So if I could win over 2 turns, that would be tremendous. Because it's very hard to beat the turn where we get the extra encounter cards off Wheel of Genres. Although, to be fair, Mojo in the middle doesn't put that much pressure on from winning the turn after that. Because it's just going to be a bunch of acceleration icons, but it does give me one more turn to try to win. Okay. I guess Gunboat Diplomacy is an event that counts as Psylocke thwarting. So I could use Psionic Training to confuse Mojo, but that would just have 1 fewer mental in play. I could still use Sonic Rifle to deal 3 damage to Mojo. Flurry of Blades is just so much damage. Do I have more Flurry of Blades in the deck? I still have both Flurry of Blades in the deck. That's crazy. Let's try to sprint. So flip up. Okay, if I float first, I miss 1 damage from, sorry, if I gunboat first, I miss 1 damage from float. If I sonic rifle first, then I'm not using this. I'd rather sonic rifle just be damaged, but I also don't want to risk not being able to confuse next turn. So I'm fine losing the damage from sonic rifle, but I'm going to use it to confuse. Oh, sorry, I meant to do this here. So rewind to when I was still in alter ego. I was going to pay 1 for training regimen and get my defense skill. Then I'll flip to hero form. Gives me kind of a free defend. Depends on the boost that Mojo might draw. Okay, pay 1 for gunboat diplomacy, exhaust an X-Force and an X-Men, 3 thwart and 4 thwart for 7 total thwart. So I'm going to, or 7 total damage, 7 total thwart. Okay, I guess I'm not sending any of this damage at Mojo anyways. Okay, sorry. Yes, I forgot about that. So let me do a little rewind again. I haven't gotten any new information, but so I'm gonna not use sonic rifle yet. Yeah, sorry, it's a little sloppy, but I'd rather just make the right decisions, and I have no misgivings about takebacks, as long as no new information is presented. So I took that back because I'm not attacking Mojo this way anyways. So I'm doing gunboat diplomacy. I'll do 7 damage to kill these 2 minions. So now the main scheme's at 20. And then we'll do 7 threat removed from the main scheme. So that was a thwart, so I'll pop psionic training to confuse Mojo. After Psylocke thwarts, discard this, confuse an enemy. Okay, and we'll pay. Oh, I didn't think about that though. If I flip these both to katanas, then I have to lose my sonic rifle anyways. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna take back the take back. So I will just say that I used sonic rifle to apply that confusion. So now I'm going to pay 1, 2, 3 for Flurry of Blades. So deal 2 damage to an enemy, and then do that 2 more times. Each one of those is bumped up to 3 because of Float Like a Butterfly. So we'll deal 9 damage from 14 down to 5. And then I'll pay 1 for martial arts training. Okay, and end the turn. So I've still got 4 cards with mentals. Shouldn't kill me, but, well, yeah, I can always make it not kill me. It's just a matter of if I need to use the final hit point of an ally or not. Oh, and sorry, so that was the end of the turn, so got a mill 4. Standard, Psylocke Nemesis, Psylocke, and 1 Mojo. So that'll be 3 threat on to Psylocke. Wish I hit the indirect damage card there. Okay, so step 1, we've got 3 threat on from Build the Case, this side scheme, and the normal. So this is at 16. Mojo attacks, and this is where I want to just defend. Yeah, I need... Oh, I guess I can't, well... If I get a triple boosted and then draw the indirect damage card, I have to lose an ally. But if I'm just blocking this attack with an ally, I'm losing an ally anyways. So we're going to defend for 3. The boost is 0. As a boost, place 1 threat on each character you control. So, yeah. And then I'm going to pop martial arts training to ready. That would have been a nice just encounter card to draw. All right, so there is the indirect damage card. But because I made it to full health, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, I can put 1 on Pete, take 3. And then after doing a treachery, Pete Wisdom heals, and that's got Insight 1. Big card here. All right, after Mojo attacks, discard cards from the top equal to the amount of damage dealt, and +1/+1 stats. So that's got Insight 1, but I think that's perfect. So next turn, okay, there's exactly 1 card in the encounter deck. So next turn I flip down, assuming I am safe on the main scheme, which I could easily be with mental detection and gunboat. So with only 1 on, oh, I'm going to go through my deck though. Okay, unless I keep 1 card in hand, I'm going to go through my deck. So if we're dealt that, we're not going to get dealt this as a boost. So we would not hit step 3 of the villain phase with this on its stopped side. Right? Because it's the start of step 3. If I don't deal this to myself by running out the deck, that's still going to be the deck for the start of step 3. And I won't get that happening. I think that's right. If I do make that happen, how bad is it? Well, it'll just have to depend on how much better the turn looks if I spend all my resources versus holding 1. I've got enough resources to play Flurry plus Mental Detection. I mean, Gunboat's just got to be the most efficient thing I can do. So, Gunboat plus Flurry Gunboat plus Flurry leaves me one card left over. It's going to be a lot of threat on the main scheme still. Because Gunboat's going to remove 7 down to 11. If I advance Mojo, he's going to put 3 on me. When I flip down, that's going to be 7 that goes back, which is 18. It's going to go up to 21 on step 1. Mojo is confused, but another activation will put it over. So I might just have to skip the Flurry. Well, okay. Yeah, Gunboat is going to advance Mojo. I don't think I can play around getting Telekinetic Dragon back on the reshuffle, because I need to flip to Knives for the thwarting. If I do run out my deck, at least not every encounter card will have Insight 1. I think I definitely have time. Like, we've got a whole pass through the deck. I've got time. But I'm just worried about this turn where I'm going to get 5 encounter cards. So I'm just checking. So if I do all damage, Gunboat plus Flurry. Gunboat will advance Mojo. Well, I could do it in either order. So I could do 3, 3, 3. So he'll be at 22. Gunboat hits him for 8, down to 14. What if I go for damage and stay in hero form? Well, the problem is, well, I'm still dying to Telekinetic Dragon. There's that card that moves threat from me to the main scheme. Top billing. Okay. Directors, yeah, there's only one copy of top billing. Do I want to try to figure out what that card is? Okay, clearly I could count through the whole deck to find out what this card is, so I'm just going to peek at it. crime scene investigation. The side scheme that says threat cannot be removed from other schemes. That's not bad at all if I've got a win over 2 turns. Well, it's just going to be my boost ability. It's got 2 boost icons. Well, no, it's just going to get discarded from ending the turn in hero form. And because I know there's another Flurry of Blades still in the deck. So I guess I'm just not sure if Flurry of Blades can hit twice on this stage and then a 3rd time on the 3rd stage. For each Psychotana you control, choose an enemy and deal 2 damage to it. I know the choose word makes it like separate instances. The same sentence thing kind of messes with me. I feel like the choose is like well, I don't know. If I just gunboat then flurry. If I gunboat first to advance, flurry does 9 damage from 25 down to 16. I attack for 4. Down to 12. My next attack plus flurry should be game. So I mean, I'm gonna get literally 4 of these. So like this doesn't matter. This blanks Quinn Carrier. This doesn't matter. This is Insight 3, but doesn't matter. The odd couple would make me discard an ally, but I still win through that. So in a way, I actively want it to advance because I can still win through all those cards. 6 cards in the deck. Okay, I don't think I have any skills left, but I'm going to Training Regimen to try to, if I did have one, I could cycle through one more card, because there's a risk that I don't see Flurry of Blades. That would be a tragedy. But, okay, so now I'm thinking, if I go to Alter Ego form, but I purposely run out the deck, then I'll get 6 cards, which includes Flurry of Blades. And I know that I'll get this dealt, irrelevant card. Reshuffle, confused, 4 cards from the odd couple. Doesn't slow me down at all from playing Flurry of Blades and attacking. So I think that should be the win. I tend to forget something really stupid in these cases, but that should do it. I am flipping down, so if I flip down, what did I say? Okay, well, okay, let's gunboat. Pay 1 to gunboat. Okay, sorry. One last thing to think about. Mojo does still need to be confused in order to get all the damage I want. So the path I'm on right now, this is gonna bring him to from 25 down to 16 with Flurry. Then I'm gonna attack him for 4 down to 12. As long as I've got one ally left in Flurry, I can still thwart with Psylocke to confuse Mojo. Good. Okay, so pay 1 to Gunboat Diplomacy. Again, this might even be inefficient, but I just don't want to take any risks with the rules. So I get 7 still. So we'll do 7 from the main scheme. 7 damage to Mojo, which is going to advance him to stage 3. When revealed, place 3 threat on each friendly character. Did I forget about this? Because one of these is going to die to the odd couple. So we're at 11, 12, 13, 14. Plus 7 is 21. Plus 4 is 25. Okay, I'm drawing my whole deck anyways. Let's double check what I have. Okay, Flurry of Blades plus Angel should be doable. So that should be enough damage, I think, still, even if I thwart right now. Gonna get 1 more threat from this, but I'll thwart for 2. Am I seriously gonna win on 24? So I thwart this for 2 from 11 down to 9. Flip down, it adds 7 up to 16. Step 1, it gets 4 up to 20. If I draw odd couple, that kills one of these. Watch Me Play has Insight 3. So that would do it as well. Okay, I think I need to stay in hero form then. Yep, I just need to stay in hero form. Unless, the other option is I mental detection to not die to the main scheme. But then I probably don't have enough damage to win next turn. I could attack for 4 now, down to 21. Next turn, Flurry of Blades down to 12. Basic attack. Down to 8. I might not get a basic attack if he's not confused. Okay, I'm just going to Flurry of Blades. Sorry for the long turn, but this is a hard match, I think, so if I prefer not to throw it away. So pay 3 for Flurry of Blades for 9 damage. 25 down to 16. Attack with Psylocke. No, there's no way for me to get top billing to move this to here. So, yeah. $11 plus 4 is 15. 1 dies to 19. Yeah, I just need it not to move off Psylocke. I do need to defend an actual attack. Oh. Well, when Mojo attacks, we discard cards from the top of the encounter deck. But that is before we actually hit the start of step 3, which is kind of funny. Forgot to flip that back as I was looking through. Okay, been on this turn like 20 minutes, sorry. But I think I'm clear. I think I'm good to attack. For 4. Now I just need to actually draw Flurry of Blades. With the stuff I've got, I might even have it without, but okay. Turn ends. We discard from the top of the deck 5 cards. So we hit 1 non-Mojo card. So 1 threat on the identity plus an acceleration. After the encounter deck resets, if there are no set aside modular sets, we lose, otherwise flip this card. So we do still have one, so we'll flip this card. And then we'll resolve the next bit at the start of step 3. Okay, well, let's see what's in the hand. Moment of truth. Angel, good. Flurry, nice. Okay, because Angel would have been, Angel plus Psylocke is 12 on its own, plus 1 attack. No, sorry, is 11 on its own, plus 1 attack would be lethal. So, I think we've got it. It's a 4 threat on the main scheme. Up to 15. Mojo attacks. Okay, if the boost is top building, I still lose. So we'll block with Marvel Girl. Okay, the boost is not top billing. Thank goodness. I would have been so mad. Sorry, okay, so that 4 threat that was on her goes to the main scheme, up to 19. After Mojo attacks, we discard from the encounter deck equal to the amount of damage dealt by that attack. So that dealt 3 damage. Now, at the start of step 3, we reveal the show environment. So the show is Mojo in the middle. Each obligation gains acceleration, and when we discard an obligation, that player draws a card. Shuffle the rest of that modular set and place it on top of the encounter deck. So that's what has made this all work, because it's all going directly on top. So then this deals the first player 2 encounter cards. And flips this back. Then we'll get our 2 for heroic and do it all. So supports are blank. Upgrades cost 2 more. Insight 3. Up to 15, 21, 22. And encounter cards gain peril. So, play Flurry of Blades for 9 and attack for 4 for the game. Whew. Super exciting there, because maybe there's a world where I could have clawed back from this, but this is so many acceleration icons that it's really, really hard to keep up with the main scheme. And maybe there were some routes to just survive another turn or two, maybe even in hero form. But yeah, that might have been my only window to win there, and really happy I got it. Okay, yeah, sweet game. This was not my first attempt. It's the only one I'm posting, but I tried a more gimmicky version of the deck with Utopia and Children of the Atom, but I think once I was practicing this game, it's really a race towards that first pass through the encounter deck. If we got the modular sets in the other order, like that stinks, that really sucks as well, because you get dial M for Mojo and then like 4 encounter cards. So a lot of Insight 1. So, right, I just wanted to be a bit more racy, so that's how I added in the scare tactics. I added in the sonic rifle, which didn't do any damage that game, but can just represent damage. Added in another ally, just to be more consistent with gunboat diplomacy, which I still wanted to pull off. And yeah, this worked how I wanted. I mean, I got lucky in a way, which was the distribution of Flurry of Blades in the deck. Like, I played Flurry of Blades all 3 times, I think, on my first deck pass, which is massive. I got a little unlucky, perhaps, with the encounter cards I actually drew. Like, I hit Shadow of the Past, Exhaustion, and Under Fire. I guess that's, somewhat inevitable. Well, not really, because we're discarding a bunch from the deck. Yeah, I don't know. So I feel like I got somewhat bad variance from difficulty of the encounter cards, but a good variance through the deck. We got Float Like a Butterfly out pretty early as well. So yeah, this was my first attempt with this version of the deck. I think I had 2 attempts before with my more gimmicky version. But anyways, that will conclude my mini heroic challenge of beating the scenarios in the Mojo Mania pack. Of course, part of my broader goal of trying to beat every scenario in the game on heroic using a different hero. So, not exactly sure when this will come out, but it's probably soon time for Falcon and Winter Soldier, so I look forward to playing some heroic games with those heroes once those are released. Stay tuned for those. Thanks for watching. See you next time.